Chapter 9 of Murder Makes Me Mad by Ferguson Findley. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 9. "I'm gonna throw you in jail, Rex," Eddie Zimmer told me the next morning. He had come down to the apartment before I finished shaving. "Just as sure as God made little green apples, I'm gonna throw you in jail." "What for?" I washed the lather off my face and slapped a handful of bay rum across it. "What have I done now?" "Is there any good reason why you had to go walking into that damn building last night?" "The door was open, the lights were on, and I was there. You can't ask for a better reason than that. Come out in the galley and have a slug of mud." "Don't care if I do," he admitted. There were big hollows under his eyes, and he had lost a good 2 pounds since I had first seen him, just after Janice died, and he couldn't afford it. He looked dog-tired, the poor cop. I poured 2 big cups full of coffee and passed him the cream and sugar. "Instead of me going to jail, Eddie, why don't you just come down here and stay? You look like you needed a rest more than I do." "That's for damn sure," he smiled. "You don't think I'm doing much work, do you?" "At first I didn't," I told him. "But now I've kind of changed my mind. Where were you last night, though? I didn't see you up at the loft building." "Running down a lead on your latest brother-in-law. His name isn't Joe Gillian. You were right about him being on the lam from the Army. You'll get your reward, I guess." "You get him to talk?" "Nothing you can make sense of, Chief. He just blabbers, off his nut. The docs don't know whether he'll ever come around or not. I'm trying to find out what he's been doing since he left the Army. And maybe get a line on Coggy that way." "Did you get anything out of Piggy? That guy I was wrestling with last night?" "Not a thing. He says he was just going along with his friend Smiley, and Smiley wanted to drop into that building to see a man. Everything that happened was a big surprise to him." "How does he explain the fact that he was packing a rod?" I asked. "He says Smiley gave it to him to carry." Eddie finished his first cup of joe, and I poured him another. "He doesn't seem to have any police record that we can find. He can't talk too much either." "Why not?" "The doctor's got a tube in his throat. He's got something busted in his windpipe. Without the tube, he'd die." "That's good," I said. "What else do you know? How about some bacon and eggs? I'll have them whipped up in a couple of minutes." "No thanks, Chief. I gotta go. I'm working on a couple of angles in this case now that look like they would surprise a lot of people. Thanks for the coffee." "Before you go," I said, "tell me just one thing. Where was the cop in that building last night? For a while there, I needed him." "We pulled him out," Eddie said. "We wanted to leave the place wide open so maybe some of Coggy's friends would walk in. We didn't expect a parade. And remember this, Rex Howard. The next time you walk into any place you don't have any business to be, or hit anybody at all, or shoot anybody, I'm going to throw you in jail." "Maybe I should get lost." "You should." His hand was on the doorknob. "But then who would get rid of all these bums for us?" I finished my breakfast and put on a tie and a coat and went out to call on clients. It took me all day. That evening, I had some chow at a little restaurant near the apartment and then bought the newspapers and went up to my room to read them. The headlines on the second page of the first paper I read gave me a jolt. "Strangler identified. Saw hospital patient and Hall's surprise witness tells cops." The story went on to tell that a man in Debbie Ames's apartment building had seen another man come out of Debbie's door at just about the time she was supposed to have been killed. This man, who lived in another apartment, had been visiting a female friend on the floor where Debbie lived. He had just been sticking his head out his friend's door to see if the coast was clear when Debbie's door had opened and a man walked out. Now the witness, after keeping his mouth closed for a long time because he didn't want his wife to know he had been off the reservation, had gone to the cops and told them what he'd seen. He described the guy, and the police let him look at a lot of pictures, including one of Piggy Pode that they had taken and slipped into the collection. He picked Piggy out immediately. Then they took him to Bellevue and let him look at Piggy when Piggy was full of sedatives and fast asleep, and he swore Piggy was the guy. I read the story and began fidgeting to get over to Bellevue myself and get my hands on Pode again. But I knew that if I did, Eddie Zimmer would have me in jail for sure. Instead, I finished the papers and walked over to the nightclub on 3rd Avenue where I had been a couple of nights before. This time I paid some attention to the sign out front, which had an almost full-size picture of the red-headed singer in scanty attire. Her name was Marie O'Connell, the sign said, and she was billed as exciting and sultry. What I needed was a little sultry singing, so I went in and sat down at the bar. The bartender recognized me and wanted to talk. "Say," he said, "I didn't spot you when you were in here the other night, Mr. Howard. Gee, I'm sorry. I seen your name and your picture in all the papers. I should have known you. What are you drinking? Bourbon on the rocks, I said. You don't need to apologize. I don't particularly want people to recognize me. I haven't done anything except watch my sister fall over dead in a saloon. Oh, that was a tough one, he said, putting a glass full of whiskey on the bar in front of me. But you were also in a big fight last night, I read. The one guy confessed he croaked the other girl too, didn't he? The way I read it in my paper, somebody said they saw him coming out of the girl's apartment. He hasn't confessed to anything yet, so far as I know. And how about the guy who got cut in half in the elevator, huh? That must have been something to see. Just then, some other people came in and sat down at the bar, and the bartender had to move away and serve them. A good thing, too. I'd gone into the place for a little peace and quiet and sultry singing, and all I was getting was a bent ear. Now the nightclub began to fill up, and the piano player started to string his chords together. In about 20 minutes, Marie O'Connell came out and sang for a while. There wasn't as much smoke in the room as there would be later, so I could get a better look at her. Her most prominent feature was her wide red mouth with the heavy lower lip, which wasn't unattractive at all. It kind of got me, somehow or other. I got to wondering what it would be like to kiss a girl with a lip like that. She had eyes, brown ones. She had a straight nose that might have been a little long, but not too much. It went well with her long body and her slim legs. The pale blue dress she was wearing was high in the back and had long sleeves, but it was open down the front to the valley between her full breasts. The skirt fitted tightly around her flat midship section and down to her knees where it flared out a little. She was quite a dish. She sang pretty sultry, too, just as advertised. The bartender came over and took my glass and refilled it. "Is that Marie O'Connell?" I asked him. That's what she calls herself," he said. "She might be Minnie Overlindsay, for all I know. She's a queer one." "What do you mean?" "Oh, she comes here and sings and then goes, and never gives any of us the time of day. Hello, she says when she comes in. Good night, she says when she leaves." "What's wrong with that?" I asked. "Sounds like a good way to keep out of trouble." "You'd think she'd be civil to customers. It ain't good for business." "I'd like to meet her," I said. "She'll be over to get a Coke when she finishes singing," he said. "That's all she ever drinks, Coke." Sure enough, she came over. I'd been saving the seat beside me by keeping my hand on it in spite of the dirty looks I got from some of the customers, and it was the only place left for her to sit. "Hello, Marie," I smiled. "I didn't get much of a chance to talk to you the last time I was in here. Too many people. I came back alone tonight just to hear you sing." She gave me a flat, uninterested look. "I certainly like to watch you sing," I went on, "as well as listen to you. You look kind of like a girl I met once in Rome after the war. She was studying for the opera. I think she was shorter than you. You never sang in Rome, did you?" "Was that the girl who took you to bed with her whole family?" There was the beginning of a smile on her face. "Oh, no," I assured her. "That was 2 other people. I wasn't even there." I shook my head sadly. "I guess it wasn't you." "I know who you are," she said suddenly. "You're Rex Howard, aren't you? The guy whose sister got poisoned." "I'm the guy. Can I buy you a drink?" "You can buy me a Coke," she said. "Tommy, bring me a Coke and put it on Mr. Howard's bill. Your girlfriend got killed too, didn't she?" "Yes," I said. "She did." The bartender filled my glass, put the Coke down in front of her, and raised his eyebrows at me. "Did she love you very much?" the singer asked. "Were you good to her?" "We didn't know each other very long," I said. "I'll bet you were good to her. Ugly guys like you are usually good to girls. You must be lonely now." "Yes," I said. "I am. That's why I sit around in places like this. I'm glad you came over. I'm not as lonely now as I was when I came in." "Well, I have to go now," she said abruptly. She slipped off the stool. "Thanks for the Coke." "Will you be back?" I didn't want her to go. Her soft, serious kind of talk had kind of gotten under my skin. She gave me funny shivers up and down my back when she asked me whether I had been good to Debbie. "I may be back," she said, and walked away. Tommy, the bartender, came over and took the empty Coke glass away. "You win first prize, Mr. Howard," he said. "That's the most she's talked to anybody at the bar since she's been here. You better look out." "Give me another drink," I said. "I'm going in and sit down at a table." It was an hour before she came out to sing again, and she didn't see me at first. Finally, I caught her eye, but she didn't smile or look my way again until she had finished her last song. Then she came over and sat down. "Why did you come in here?" she asked. "I thought you might come and sit down with me without the bartender looking down our throats." "Why should you want me to sit down with you?" "Because I'm lonely, and because I've never seen a girl just like you. and because your lower lip makes me want to kiss you.
Would you want me to go home with you and go to bed with you?
Sometime, I said. Not right away, not tonight.
Not ever, Rex,
she said, looking at me with her deep brown eyes that seemed to have so little in them.
I don't think ever. I couldn't be sure that you'd be good to me. I'm not the kind of girl you're used to.
There's no hurry, I told her, reaching for her hand and holding it lightly in mine. Could I take you to dinner sometime and to a show or something?
I work nights, singing.
She smiled a little. Lunch?
Maybe. Maybe next week. We'll see.
She took her hand away. How do I find you? I asked. Do you have a telephone?
You'll see me around if you're in here. I'm not going anywhere else for a while. Good night now, Rex. I have to go.
Coming back, Marie?
I'll be back to sing again, but that's all. Good night.
There was something strange about the whole setup, and I didn't even begin to get it. There was no use sitting alone at the table anymore, so I got up and went back to the bar and got a fresh drink.
You are the champ, Mr. Howard, Tommy said. She's never sat down at a table before.
Where does she live, Tommy? I asked her. What's her telephone number? I pushed a $10 bill across the bar. He pushed it back.
I can't take your money, Mr. Howard. Lots of guys come in here and sit here and ask me that, and I just don't know. I can't even find out. Not even the manager of this joint has her phone number. And he don't like people to ask him about it. If you want to find out where she lives, you might try following her. But I bet it wouldn't work.
Why? What makes you say that?
Well, there was a detective that used to hang around here. He got a big lech for her and tried to follow her home. She went into some big apartment house, he told me, and just seemed to vanish into thin air. Another drink, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, I said. Give me one for the road. I drank it and paid my bill and went home, all mixed up. Maybe I was just lonely. Maybe this Marie O'Connell had something for me. Whatever it was, it didn't show in her eyes. That blank look she had, even when she was talking seriously, kind of haunted me. I'd have given anything to see those eyes light up just once. She was a queer one, like the bartender said. I knew I was going to see her some more if it was the last thing I did. The next couple of days were full of work. I didn't hear from Eddie Zimmer and didn't try to get in touch with him either. He had mentioned some surprising angles he was working on, and I wasn't going to bother him until he wanted me to know what they were. In the weeks since Janice died, I had slowly acquired a lot of respect for Eddie and the way he worked. It might take him a long time, but he'd surely get there. Evenings, I went around and listened to Marie sing. Sometimes we'd have a drink and a Coke at the bar. Sometimes she'd sit at a table and talk to me, maybe 20 minutes, but not much longer. I never knew what was going on in her mind behind her eyes. One Friday evening, I was sitting at the table waiting for her to come over and join me when she finished singing. I was smoking a cigarette as usual, and when she finally sat down across from me, my hand crept across hers. "How's it going tonight, Marie?" I asked her. "You want a Coke?"
I'm sick of Cokes. I hate this place. I hate New York.
"Where do you want to go?" I wondered. "Why don't you quit and work someplace else?"
I can't quit, she said. I've got a contract. If I quit, I'd never be able to get a job again. My kind of singing doesn't go over that well. I can't pick and choose.
How much longer do you have here?
God only knows, Rex. As long as my agent can keep me here, I guess. Years and years and years, it seems. Don't feel badly about it.
She smiled her little smile. Why don't you just get out for the day? Let me take you to lunch. She leaned across the table.
Take me away tomorrow, Rex. Take me away all day. Somewhere out in the country where I won't have to smell New York or sit in a nightclub or look at all these horrible people. Will you do that?
What time can you leave? I asked eagerly. Where will I meet you? We'll go for a ride, and I'll take lunch, and we won't have to put up with anybody but just us. For a moment, I thought there might be a light in those eyes of hers, but I was wrong.
I'll meet you on the corner of 2nd Avenue and 23rd Street at 8:30,
she said. Bring in a bathing suit, I said. We may get to a place where we can go swimming. I'll bring everything else. We'll have the most wonderful day we ever had. She smiled again.
You're awfully good to me, Rex. I like you. Good night now.
I had to hurry to get squared away by 8:30. First, I rented a car, and then I got on the telephone, trying to find friends who had places in the country they weren't using. That was a tough one, but I finally made it. A fellow by the name of Higgins, Stan Higgins, who had been a junior division officer on the Brooklyn when I first knew him, an executive officer on the Daily later, came through. "Come on over, Chief," he urged when he found out who was calling him. "Big party over here. Come on over and have a drink." "Can't make it, Commander," I said. "I'm trying to find a place in the country." "I have a place in the country," he said. "I know, that's why I'm calling you. You going to be up there tomorrow?" "Hell no," he said. "We got to stay in town for a wedding." "Would you mind if I dropped in with a friend and used your barbecue pit to cook my own steak?" "Not at all, Chief, not at all. Help yourself. Who is his friend?" "Girl I know, Commander. Wants to take a ride in the country." "You just take a ride up to our place, Chief. Use the swimming pool and everything else. Hey, Virginia," he called to his wife. "Where's the bathhouse key? Up in the country or here?" There was a pause. "It's under the mat of the front door, Howard. You know how to get up there?" "I was up there last summer, remember? I can find it. Thanks a hell of a lot, Commander." "There's blankets hanging in the garage," he said. "If you insist on a soft bed with sheets, break the door of the house down." "No, you've got me all wrong, Commander," I protested. "The hell I do. Good night, Chief. Sorry you can't come up for a drink." I was standing on the corner of 2nd Avenue and 23rd Street when she got out of her taxi. I made a note of the taxi number. She walked across the street toward me, and she looked very different from when she was singing at night. Softer somehow, and more like a normal human being. She was dressed in a going-to-the-country type of dress, white fluffy stuff with red and green polka dots on it. There was a fancy matching handkerchief around her chair, and she carried a big red patent leather bag. The car I had rented was parked at the corner, and I opened the door for her to get in. She looked in the back.
"My gosh, Rex, what in the world do you have back there? We aren't going away for a month, you know. I have to be at work this evening."
"Just a few things," I said. "Charcoal, beer, a bottle of whiskey, Coke for you, an icebox full of ice, plus the beer and the Coke and a sirloin steak and butter and stuff. I also have spuds for bacon and salt and pepper and lettuce for salad and salad dressing and towels and bathrobes and sandals and suntan lotion. You name it, I've got it."
"You're a nice guy, Rex. I'd like you. Be good to me."
I didn't get this being good to her stuff. She was a strange girl, and though she wasn't the same kind of girl that day as she was at night, she was still strange. We drove up into northern Connecticut. The countryside was green and beautiful, and she talked enthusiastically about it. Finally, we started to drive down the long lane that led to Stan Higgins' place, and she turned anxiously toward me.
"Where are we going now, Rex? Whose house is this? Do they know I'm coming?"
"It's all right," I said. "The place belongs to an old friend of mine."
"I don't want to see anybody else, Rex. Turn around and go out, please."
"There won't be anybody here but us, darling." It was the first time I had called her that. "The people who own it have to stay in New York this weekend. We'll be all alone."
"You didn't tell them I was coming, did you?"
"I wouldn't be likely to do that," I said. "I'm not known to have a flapping lip."
"I'm glad," she said. "I'm glad there won't be anybody else here but just us, Rex. Just you and me."
The lane twisted around through the trees, and all of a sudden we came to the house, isolated from casual passers-by, and standing behind a wall of evergreens with a long view south across the Berkshire hills. It was enough to take your breath away if you weren't expecting it. Off on the east side of the house were the swimming pool and the barbecue. "Like it, Marie?" I asked, as I stopped the car in the driveway.
"Oh, I love it, Rex. It's perfect. It's what I was wanting you to take me to, and I didn't know it."
Her hand crept into mine.
"You're such a nice guy."
We got out and walked around. I found the key to the bathhouse under the mat, and she went in with her big patent leather bag. I took my swimming trunks out of the back of the car and followed her. The inside was divided into 2 sections, plainly marked for males and females. She must have changed in a terrible hurry because I heard her slam the door on her side and go running out before I had my shoes off. Then there was a splash in the pool, and she called,
"Hurry up, Rex, it's wonderful."
There was more laughter in her voice than I had ever heard before. I came out of the bathhouse, and she was swimming on her back, gaily kicking and splashing and showing her even white teeth through a big smile. All of a sudden, she looked alive and beautiful. It was the first time I ever saw her that way. I dived in the pool and came up in front of her, and she was still on her back and kicked water in my face. I tried to grab her by one foot and pull her close to me, but she was quick as a fish in the water and kept away. I didn't try very hard, to tell the truth. It was fun to swim and dive and splash in the bright summer sun, and we still had the whole day ahead of us. Finally, I came up beside her and caught her by surprise as she looked the other way. My arms closed around her, and I pressed my mouth against those wide and wonderful lips that I had longed for since I first saw her. Nothing happened. End of Chapter 9.